Oh, all right.
All right. It's for another Friday night, and Allison and I are so excited to have Carolyn and Peter Booker joining us this Friday to share stories for them to tell us a little bit about themselves. We've already been hearing some incredible stories and what Carolyn and Peter have been able to do over the years, especially Carolyn with her amazing gifts to be able to help souls. Just absolutely fascinating. And just to get started really quick, just really quick, yes, thank you, Carol and Peter, for being here. We appreciate you for joining us. And Cosmic Orphan is here, Stephen. He is our mod extraordinaire. So he'll be helping out with us in chat tonight. Teresa Hadarian, I'm waiting patiently, so she's excited. I know people will slowly start popping in. Talking about dinner. Okay, yeah, I just had dinner a little while ago. So, Moira is here. Hello, Moira. Thank you for being here. Um, Ramon Moon Scarab is here. Thank you. And again, Stephen's being the mod extraordinaire. So thank you so much. And Stephen, just so you know, Carolyn and Stephen and Carol, sorry, Carolyn and Peter, you don't have an actual channel. You just come on as a guest and you do live shows with other readers, correct?
That's correct.
Right.
But there is a email that Carolyn told me I could put in the description if anybody needs to contact her, and that's for any questions about possibly about for readings, Carolyn, or for maybe communicating with spirit, or would you um, like to share what it is that you do? If anyone with that email, what people can contact you for. I'm sorry, I'm just like super excited and super nervous at the same time.
Well, clearing. I do clearings. I answer questions. I I can't think right. I even on the phone, I'm able to help people. Yeah. I had a psychiatrist call me, and he had a patient, and he said, could you talk to the father of this young man that I've had for years, and he keeps hearing football on the roof, but it's only in his bedroom. And so I talked to the father, told him what to do, and he says, I'll do it right away. And he went in there, did what I told him to do, and he said, that doctor said, I haven't seen him again at day one.
Well, and he said he heard footsteps on the ceiling or on the roof.
The young boy, he would hear, but it was only in his bedroom. Yeah, and he was the only one that heard it. And he'd sleep with his father because his mom was on a trip, so he wouldn't sleep in his room. And so, I told him what to do, and he went and did it. And that night, the boy slept in his room, and he's never been back to the doctor since.
That's wow. Great. Wish I could have had you when I was younger in the house I grew up in. That thing, it wasn't every single night, but this thing would nights just come, grab me by the back of the neck. I could feel the nails just grabbing, on my neck, and sometimes grabbing my feet. And I would just lay there pretending I was asleep, couldn't feel anything. Oh, it was awful for quite a few years. So, and we had priests come to the house for blessings, because a lot of time these spirits, from what I've seen I know you got to kind of take these TV shows with a grain of salt on some of these, because they want production and they want scripts, and they want the big boom, but I've noticed, like on certain shows, like with Dead Files with Amy Allen, or the Holzer Files with Cindy Kaza, and they would say that a lot of times the these spirits, they're not affected by, you know, some traditional, you know, forms of religion. And so, you know, going in, you know, for like because we were raised Catholic, and so my mom had priests in the house several times, and to them the scene was just like, hey, yeah, that's a joke. So I'm assuming then, over the years when you've done these investigations, have you had to call in like different people who practice different types of religion or spirituality, to help people, like Amy would? She would tell people certain, like a shaman or a witch or a priest.
Well, Peter had to call in a priest.
Okay.
There was one occasion when
in England.
We were in England. Carolyn was over here in America, and we'd known from previous investigations where we were living that somebody had asked for help. And one day, on Saturday morning, I was just going out with the dogs, and right in my right ear, very, very loudly, I heard, "Help me," emphatic. And I understood who it was. And I said, "Yes, I will help you." Well, the next day was a Sunday, and I'd gone to church, and the dean of St. Paul's was giving the address that day. So after church, I asked him, you know, called him to one side. I explained to him straight out exactly what had happened. He didn't seem anything strange by it, of course, which was great, because I was expecting, you know, some blowback, but not at all. And he said, "Right, well, I'll give me your details. I'll get there's a certain priest within the diocese that, you know, does these clearances and attachments and other stuff, exorcisms, if you will." And eventually he did get hold of me, and the two of us went down into the basement of this particular building. And we held a communion, and he went round every single room in the building, blessed it, and the spirit went. He went on. But we used to hear all sorts of very strange sounds in the building. It had been a tie factory at one time, and during the Second World War, this place had been bombed out. Now, whether this particular spirit had passed at that time, or whether it was in an accident, because we used to hear, you know, these old elevators that have got the slam doors, the steel doors, like the doubles, we would hear that. And obviously it was a new building. There was nothing like that in the building. We used to hear it on a regular basis. And he'd been seen, and Carolyn had seen this particular gentleman in like a blue boiler suit, like a maintenance worker. So we deduced that that's who it was, and we were able to move him on. But of course, Carolyn was here in America at the time. So I was quite pleased about that. We were able to help him. He wasn't malevolent, you know, he wasn't harming anybody at all. He just wanted to move on.
You two make an incredible couple. This is awesome. I love this. Yeah, and the dynamic duo.
the lower level is Roman. Of this building is Roman, and we were living across the street from the London Wall, which is Roman, part of the Roman garrison.
Oh, from the Roman Empire. Okay.
Yeah, which our building was built on the ruins of the old garrison.
Oh, wow. And something that Carolyn and Peter were sharing with Allyson and I backstage, they have been on TV, and they have been mentioned in a book in London. Now that's so Peter and Carolyn, how did you meet? Because Carolyn, you're American, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we met through mutual friends. I was in the last year of service in the British Army, and I was in the Coldstream Guards band. I've been a musician for most of my life, and through mutual friends we met. Carolyn had come to get some tickets for Beat and Retreat which happens every year during June, and also for the Trooping the Colour, which you may have heard, the birthday parade for the Sovereign. And a friend of mine who was the secretary at the time of the band, met Carolyn, said to me, "Oh, I met somebody the other day that I think you would like." And I go, "No, don't want to get involved, thank you. No." Been divorced at that time by 7 years, so I was quite happy.
Yeah.
No offense. And lo and behold, on the third occasion, Carolyn came to pick up some tickets for another function. We met. The two of us were in the office, and all the guys said, "Oh, it's at the time. I've got to go." So he said, "Peter, take Carolyn out for a coffee." So I took her for a coffee, and the rest is history. So there you are.
I was supposed, that was a Thursday. I was supposed to leave that Monday. And I had been in London 4 months.
Wow.
And I was supposed to leave that Monday. And Peter said, "Can you, extend your holiday?" And I said, "Yeah."
And how long ago was
28
that?
years later.
28. Wow. How beautiful. I love that. Yeah. Just really quick, we have a few more people come in that I just want to say hello to. Rossi is here. JR has joined us. Captain Morgan is here. Hershey the Shadow Reader is here, and so is Fatima. And it was interesting. Well, I'll hang on to that for a second. Allyson, is there anything you wanted to ask them? Because I've been kind of
actually.
So all to you.
So Carolyn and Peter, this is for both of you, and obviously, whoever can answer first. But do you have anyone in your family that's close to you that has the gifts that you do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my whole family.
Your entire family. Okay. Wow.
Women.
Okay. All the women.
Yeah.
Wow. How about you, Peter?
My sisters, I've never said about being, they're open to a lot of things. And I think my older sister probably has seen things, but it's not something she's ever spoken about.
Right.
I used to speak of this with my mother when she was alive, and she was quite open to things, wasn't she? Mm-hmm. I was a twin, but my twin brother died at birth. And I've seen him on about 3 occasions during my life at different periods. And he's been similar sort of age to me. So he's grown with me, if you will.
Right.
I was in Japan on tour, and Carolyn saw him outside our house.
I'm vacuuming in the front room, and I look out the big window, and I went, "What's he doing? That's not him." Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Wow.
I know who that is.
I just
wow.
He was coming by just to check that she was okay.
See, now me, if Shan had a twin and I saw that, I would have thought for a second, "Oh my God, is my sweetheart okay?" So that did that scare you, Carolyn? Thinking that might have been Peter coming to you in case there was, or you just automatically knew that was.
She's
could have been a bit dark.
Yeah, no, it didn't frighten me because I knew who it was.
You knew. Yeah, you're so plugged in.
Yeah,
I knew who it was. I said, "Hi."
Well, the strange thing is, and we've just recently had a new grandson.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. He, according to Carol, is the spirit of my deceased brother.
Oh, okay. So he's here now.
He's come back.
Okay. Wow.
And this little guy, when we get on the phone,
how exciting!
You see him on FaceTime. He's doing this to get to me.
Oh, baby, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He just talks to him.
Yeah. Jabber.
That's adorable.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's it's a great comfort to me that Carolyn mentioned.
Sure.
He's back, and he's how long I'll be here, I don't know, but We keep swapping out.
I told I told our daughter, I said, "You're pregnant." I am not. Yeah, you are.
Mhm.
And then a little while later, she said, "I'm pregnant." I said, "Yeah, I know."
I know.
And it's a boy. Yeah.
Oh, you told her?
Yeah.
My mom was
And
good at
she went
that.
for a scan. She goes, "It's a boy." I said,
There you go.
Yeah, that's what I told you.
Then, I know.
Although
And
it was
he's
a
got the
girl.
gift.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Apparently, Carolyn says, yeah,
He's got the gift.
I have a part 2 of that question that I asked you both really quick. So Carolyn, as a child, since this was pretty much, business as usual in your household, right? Because you were always around it. Were you, I'm not going to use a label because it sounds like you have different things that you do, which is probably why you're hesitant to say medium or psychic or intuitive or whatever, or more intuitive. But you've always been able to see, it sounds like. Have you always been able to see, hear, smell, like all of it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clairaudient, yeah.
All the clairs.
All the clairs. Yeah.
Okay. That's so cool.
Yeah,
And then, okay.
Go
And
ahead. I'm sorry.
no, sorry. And then Peter, you sound like you're more like a lot of people that do have the gift where it's more selective, where like Carolyn sounds very wide open.
Yeah.
yes, yeah. I'll pick things up, and often I'll see something. For instance, if I was traveling to work, and I was on a bicycle going to the railway station, and about three, it's about 6:30 in the morning on a foggy November morning, and about three lampposts down, I could see a woman walking towards me in a trench coat. And as I got a bit closer, I looked around and she'd gone. I didn't think anything of it. I thought, oh, okay, I'll mention it to Carolyn later, and I did. And in Newbury during the Second World War, there have been some bombing raids, also some strafing done, because where this place was, it's right in the middle of central southern England. So Birmingham and Coventry, which were major industrial areas, the Luftwaffe would just hone in on that and strafe it. And on the way back,
Right.
of course, they were being chased by fighters. They wanted to jettison their load, so they dropped their bombs. Didn't matter where it was, they would just drop their bombs. And Newbury had been hit on several occasions. And this lady was a victim of one of the raids.
Yeah.
But they used to come down and just machine gun, in the streets. And my mother, she went to a church school right next to St. John's Church. St. John's was hit. The church was leveled to the ground, and the school was also badly bombed, and children were killed.
Wow.
My mother was sick that day. She wasn't there. Yeah. So, I mean, that was amazing.
Yeah.
But there's some dreadful tales of that happening all over, southern England. They would just jettison their bomb loads or whatever they had just to gain a bit of height and speed to get away from the fighters. Also, we lived on a battlefield during the English Civil War.
I bet that was busy.
It was.
That's fun.
Yeah, where we were was the Royalist Army was where the cavalry reserve was kept, and you could smell campfires. Carolyn could hear the horses. She could hear the jingling of harness, them neighing. We could hear gunfire as well, because there's a castle up on the hill there, which is also part of the periphery of the battle. It's we could hear the cannon on occasion. Even I could hear that. But I've got this picture that I had done, a photograph when I was in the army, and it was above our fireplace. Well, it's me in uniform, of course, but Carolyn would be there on days when I wasn't there, and this thing would morph.
Oh.
Some in part armor from the time. Now, the strange fact is that the regiment I was in was formed from a regiment that was part of the parliamentarian New Model Army. They went on. There's only about a handful of regiments that remain from that time, and mine was one of them. Yeah. Coincidence? I don't know.
Wow.
Wow. We have a quick question from Captain Morgan. Hi, Peter. I'm curious, what is your twin brother's name? Thank you so much.
Don't know.
They didn't name him.
They didn't name him. And we've looked on birth records, and it just says baby Booker. Yeah.
Wow.
They don't even know where he's buried.
No. He was buried with a deceased female from the hospital at the time.
Oh.
Well, I hope she was deceased.
Families handle that differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially back then.
And back then, I mean, sometimes there's a whole formality. Sometimes it's like you just move forward with the child that's here.
And I was, we were preemies as well, so I was in a rough place for a little while. So obviously they were concentrating more, on me. Yeah.
That's interesting, Peter, because sometimes children who or people who have have a near-death experience or have a health issue where they're kind of close to that dimension will come back from this, from being ill or from being pronounced dead and coming back, and then they have these abilities. Do you think that might have been how you have gotten your abilities, or do you feel that they're fully hereditary?
That's quite possible. Yes, quite possible.
Okay.
Have you had your gift your whole life that you were aware of, or did it develop at a certain point?
I can remember from being very young, probably 3 or 4, maybe even earlier, seeing my brother.
Oh, so it was that young that you saw him. Okay.
Yeah, he was my imaginary friend, if you will.
Right.
And he used to sit down beside my bed, and I used to talk to him. Oh. That I do remember. And when I mentioned it to Carolyn years later, she said, "Oh yeah, that was your brother." Nonchalant. Yeah.
Wow.
I just really quick, I have such a cool story that you told that, Peter. When my mom was born, she was actually a fraternal twin. She had a brother, but he died the day after he was born. He didn't make it. But my nana had made sure that he had a name. She named him Theodore. And so my mom would talk about him on and off. Sometimes, growing up, well, when I was in my I think mid to late 20s, I had a dream that I was in the house I was living at, but spirits of my family members were there, and there were certain ones that just kind of passed by me. They didn't really want to talk, but when I went towards the kitchen, this young man, nice, groomed goatee, lightish, brown hair, a little bit. It was kind of, I think it was kind of close to dark, but light. But anyway, just nicely dressed and just very casual. Just kind of went like this and went, "Hey, Heather." And I remember standing back and looking at him. I'm like, I don't, who's this? And he goes, "Don't you know who I am? Don't you recognize me?" And I'm like, "No." And he goes, "I'm your Uncle Teddy." And I went, "Oh." And then my dream, I'm like, "Of course. Hi, Uncle Teddy." And I hugged him. So that would have been, that Teddy is a nickname for Theodore. So that was my mom's uncle I met. Her my uncle. But he came to me as this like 30-year-old some man with a nice little groomed goatee. I think he had like a little turtleneck on with a nice little, kind of like a yuppie, and just like popped his head around the corner from the kitchen. I was just like, "Hi." And so I just wanted to share that with you because of, you losing your twin and my mom hers. I got to meet mine on the dream, in the dream astral. So yeah. I do have some people coming in again. Just want to say hello to Leah. Thank you. And I do see that Leah had a question, but I just want to make sure that I got to see everybody else say hi. Fatima has joined us. Karen, Care Bear has also joined us. So just making sure that everybody is, and there's David. Hello, David's been listening. So up here, Leah says, excuse me, I was a tubal that inched into a new location. Oh, I don't know what that means.
It means that
tubular pregnancy that moved along and
Oh.
became a regular pregnancy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it slipped into the uterus.
Right.
So we're blessed to have Leah here. Yes, that's nice.
Yes.
All right, I'm just looking to see if there was any other questions. Okay, so backstage, Carolyn and Peter were sharing with Allyson and I that living in London, you were part of the Haunted Britain investigation crew, and you went and did investigations. Now, you said it was filmed, so it was a TV show. You said it's still going.
The group is still going. They do most of their stuff on YouTube now, but we had appeared on national TV with this group, and also Carolyn had done radio broadcasts also. Actually, I think there were two, weren't there?
Well,
Radio Nottingham and
yeah, that's still on YouTube. You can get Richard and Judy's Night Haunts or something like that, and it's 4 parts.
Kind of like a podcast.
Of Nottingham Castle. But I also everywhere we go. I mean, Nottingham, I kind of couldn't get out of knowing, but I never wanted to know where we were going. And don't tell Peter because I might pick it up from him.
Yeah, she could read it from me, so it was always.
I'd start taking notes, just writing them down. I wrote Byron, and I went, okay. And, and so when we got up to Nottingham Castle, there is a bust in front of it of Byron.
Wow.
Right.
He helped save Nottingham Castle.
Very cool.
Raised funds to restore part of the old medieval castle.
We went down in the caves, and, you can get it on YouTube. Yeah.
HBI, there's a book.
Here we go. I'm going to put you on the big screen so we can all see the book because it's available through Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, there's the book. It's published by Barnes & Noble, Ghost Chaser Chronicles. And it's dedicated to Carolyn and I. And some nice pictures of some of the places that we went. And
nice.
Yes.
Yeah, the livery companies, no one will get in to do an investigation.
You managed to get into it.
But we got in because we lived in Pewter's, the worshipful company of Pewter's. He was the beadle. And so they said, oh yeah, come on, you can investigate ours. Come on.
What do you mean by beadle?
It's a ceremonial officer. It's an ancient word actually that means constable.
Okay.
Because they actually looked after and maintained the pewter trade. So arresting people, fining people, all sorts of stuff for malpractice. That's what it's about.
Okay.
He only hung one guy.
Yeah.
It's all.
Not recently.
Not recently,
How we got involved with HBI? We were in the flat in this building, and Carolyn said, I'm getting some very strange, somebody speaking to me. I don't understand what they're saying. I said, well, can you tell me what you're hearing? So she did. And I said, well, can you break it down phonetically? So I started to write this down. Well, I realized it was Latin. And a friend of ours who was with HBI, I called him up and said, Carolyn's getting this message. What does it mean? And what she heard was Aqua Minerva. There was other words as well, but Aqua Minerva. And it was the garrison commander come to Carolyn, knew that she could hear it, and wanted her to send people to the Temple of Minerva, which is a few streets away down towards the river, because it was on fire. So Aqua Minerva, take water to Minerva.
Wow.
So I got this written down. Somewhere we probably got, actually what I did write down. But so Brian said, well, I'm going to have to come up and investigate this. So we put tape recorders down in the basement where where the Roman level was. However, prior to this, I miss this. This is important. Carolyn was down in the basement having a crafty cigarette in a staff canteen that was down there, and it was late at night. I was upstairs, wherever, and she heard somebody coming down the corridor, and
I thought it was him with the dog.
So she was reading a magazine. She looked over the magazine or under it, and she saw sandals. So as she looked up, there was this Roman soldier stood there, looking at her. He smiled.
He's good looking.
Turned and walked away. And he was very good looking. Yeah. Apparently, this was the Roman commander. But he was such a high rank that he was Caesar's standard bearer in Britain. So he was very high up indeed, just above what would be a consul, just below a consul. He was in charge of all the military garrison. So it was him that said to Carolyn, Aqua Minerva. Well, we put a temple offering downstairs for him. It was actually on my birthday. Mm-hmm. So we set up a little temple and put candles and offerings and stuff on it, because Brian, this particular chap who knew the Latin, was very much into anything Roman. And he said, well, if you do this, you'll please him, and he may move on, or he'd be happy with the offering. So we left the recorder on. We went to the pub, and lo and behold, he also sent some more, and it was giving me blessings for my birthday.
Oh,
yeah, I can't remember exactly what he said now.
Wow!
Yeah, he said he's wishing you a happy birthday. So yeah,
that's very, very cool.
Very cool. I know back in, I think it was the 2000s, when the paranormal shows were really picking up and people were starting to share more because YouTube was popular and videos were getting uploaded. There was an image that was on the news briefly on the internet where someone had gotten a video, or they took a snapshot of this blue light on this cobblestone path or something in this park, and you could clearly see the shape of a Roman soldier on a horse. That was, I don't know if you ever saw that picture. This was going back 10 years, maybe 15. And I just remember seeing that going, oh, wow, that was a real apparition caught on.
Hey, was that in York? I think that's from York.
I'm not sure, but I know it was in England. So
it was on a Roman road that was actually in the basement of this particular building, which is very close to where the York Minster is now.
Walk through?
Yeah. And they were in there one day doing some work, and all of a sudden along came a Roman on a horse, followed by Roman soldiers, just walked right in front of them. But they were about, you could only see them from the knees up. So obviously, because the road, the difference of the height and what was the pavement at that time. That was in York, and that was very clear. Yeah. And whether you've got a photograph, I don't know.
Now, would that be like a residual, just kind of like a playback, or was that an actual still spirit?
No, I think it's a residual. Yeah.
Stone wall.
Yeah, stone wall. Yeah.
So, Carolyn, or Peter, so when something like that happens, they're not aware that you're there because they're not really there at that time? Or how does, as far as you know, how does all of that work? Like if a spirit is really there, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Stonewall's not there. It's just like a recording.
Like a bleed through?
Yeah, it's just a record, like a recording.
It's a different
like on
word
an anniversary or
okay. Yep.
Like that. You know, it.
Yeah.
Like.
You're just witnessing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, is there any way of being able to remove a residual, or is that just going to be permanent? And whoever has the ability to see, they will see it or hear them. I was just curious about that.
I don't think you can remove them, but there's really no point in removing them because they're not really there.
Right.
I mean,
yeah,
they're not going to hurt you. They're not going to talk to you because they're not really there. It's just a memory.
I have one other question. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Thank you. So actually, I'll just use what Heather said. So as a child, Heather would experience, and I know other people have, something that was very negative and was able to even approach her physically. You know, I don't know what term to use. You know, that's a dark entity, not necessarily ghost, maybe not, From your experience, what could something like that be? And also, what kind of effect would that have on a child moving forward? You know, from, again, just from what you know or believe, or, you know, like for Heather, it was traumatized and everything else.
For me, I
can't
think
even
it
imagine.
shut my abilities down.
But like life, you know, and then how long does something that stay with you? And because I do know, sorry, this is turning to a bunch of stuff, and I'll just say one other thing and then I'll stop. Separate, but somehow related must be, I've heard how people can, like adults that are more vulnerable, like people that are like, that drink a lot, like drinkers and drug users and stuff like that, they're more open and they can have dark whatever come in and like take up residence,
right?
Or just vulnerable people. All of that stuff seems connected somehow, and I'm wondering who sticks around. Do they do that with children too? Do they only do it with adults? Just all of that. It's very interesting, dark and sad, but
yeah, they deal with children too.
Right.
Yeah, because they're vulnerable.
Right.
It's up to the parents to, you know, protect them. You know, sage their room, make sure that it's always clean, keep salt in the corners. Yeah, and they won't cross the salt.
Kind of wish I'd known that now.
Yeah, sorry, but no.
Well, my mom brought in priests, Catholic priests from the church to come in, and my dad blocked it out. He, you know, other people had come, they could hear it up in the attic, our crawl space. My dad was just like completely blacked out. He said, I don't hear it. I don't know what you're talking about. Not till when he almost passed away did he actually see it. But is it possible for a human that was alive? Because the entity that we feel that was, we don't know if there was one or if there were two, but my mom's brother, my uncle, had a friend, and they used to rob, and his buddy one night, Jimmy, wanted to go rob this house or store. My uncle said, no, doesn't feel right, I'm not going. Jimmy's like, well, I'm going to go. Jimmy tried to break in, rob this place. The owner was there, you know, shot him, stabbed him, whatever it was, and he ended up dying. But because this individual apparently had a fondness for one of my aunts or whatever, my mom feels like it came to our house. I don't know why, and would stay in, hang out in the crawl space. And they would particularly know it was him because whenever my sister, because he loved the Doors when he was alive, and whenever my sister would play certain music by the Doors, you could hear dancing up in the crawl space, and other family members would come over And my mom told me later and said that they could hear him up there doing that. But then I was told later on by another person who was a psychic medium that they feel that he ended up turning into more like an entity, like an evil, more because of his soul and energy being evil in human spirit in life, that when he died he ended up turning into something that was more of a malevolent entity, that kind of think of like Gollum, how he was a hobbit, but then once he turned bad and he got evil, he ended up turning into this this creature. Now, is that possible for a human spirit to turn and morph into something like that?
Now you are in the afterlife the way you are in life. Now they do like to hide in closets, basements.
Yep, that's where he hid.
Attic.
One of the times, attics. Yeah.
Anywhere that people don't normally go, they like to go.
Because she said that she saw that he had become more, and this might have been just the way he wanted to present himself, but with sharp fingernails and claws and stuff, and it would come, at least I had one, nice experience seeing a spirit, and it was my auntie after she passed away from cancer. But after living in that house with that thing, I think it completely shut my ability down. And just now I'm starting to kind of not get scared when I have the dreams and I might hear something or see something. But thank you for letting me, share that. Go ahead.
Obviously, you were open, Henry. He knew you were open. He knew how to scare you, how to push your buttons, and you just enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would lay there and pretend I was asleep and I couldn't feel them. And, thinking it would stop, it would go away.
Yeah, and he got bored. She's not paying attention.
But then come back again and try it again. So.
Oh yeah, they'll keep trying.
So Carolyn, really quickly, so like I was saying about how people, and I've heard of this, how people will have they'll almost have something takes up residence. I don't know if it's possession or what it is, but it's like people that are more vulnerable. Again, I'm using because I know of somebody that supposedly this happened to that was an alcoholic, but I know it can happen to other people, vulnerable, whatever. So, and again, as far as or I don't know if you're aware of this kind of thing, but it's like a possession, right? Like they come in and then they take off, like they find somebody more interesting, or I don't know how that works.
Yeah,
but they take up residence.
I'm out of here. Yeah.
So it's like a possession.
Yeah.
A walk-in.
A walk-in, yes. Have you ever experienced that or met anybody that had that, or?
Yeah, I've had someone try to walk into me.
Oh, try to come into you.
Yeah, but good luck with that.
Right, of course. Yeah.
But because to someone with mental illness or alcoholism or drug addiction,
or
they don't have power,
depression, anything vulnerable.
Yeah. They don't have strength to fight them off, or the knowledge. That's why we have to get the word out. Fight them. Don't let them get away with it. Say no. And you have to say, but you have no power here.
Right. And they're probably drawn to the darkness, right? Rather than they don't want to be in somebody's that's of the light.
Right.
Or I would think.
They're afraid of the light.
Also,
judgment. Yeah.
If they pass because of a certain aspect in their life, whether it's depression or alcohol or whatever, they're going to be drawn to somebody in that same position.
Right.
Because there's an empathy, if you will.
I know somebody that has a severe issue with marijuana, like bad. And the last time I saw this person, I was like, I didn't tell him this, but I felt like he had was like, maybe this had happened. Because when you're stoned like that all the time, you're wide open. And I'm not saying that's what is happening, but it occurred to me. I'm like, wow, because almost like two personalities now. And it occurred to me, I'm like, I hope you didn't, and also had been very negative and just
there are two
pissy all the time. And I'm like, no, now you gotta hitchhiker because you're so negative all the time.
Hitchhiker. Yeah, there's sucking your life energy out of you.
There are two personalities.
Yes. This person's out of my life, but yeah, it's just wild. And I think that there's stuff like this going on, and a lot of people don't even realize this does go on in our world. It's there.
Yeah. A lot of people don't. But that's why we have to educate people about this kind of thing, because it can happen.
Yes.
I had a vision. My husband's going to beat me up, but no, he doesn't hit. No. I had a vision when you know how the orange one always called himself, I'm the best president since Abraham Lincoln. You notice he doesn't say it anymore.
Why do you think Abraham came to him and said, knock the shit off?
Well, one night in his bedroom, I had a vision, and Lincoln had him by the throat and was lifting him off his feet. And President Kennedy was standing to the side, who since I found out he's my cousin. But anyway, but there was like a black curtain, and they'd only let me see through it that way. And Mrs. Lincoln came in, and she said, Father, and he said, Mother, get out of here. And he told Trump, or the Orange Beast, he told him, if you ever use that again, I will personally come back and kill you.
Wow.
Don't compare yourself to me. He said, President Kennedy's the hero. I'm a hero. And he says, all these soldiers lining the walls are heroes. They gave up their lives for this country.
Right.
And he was dangling by his feet, but he had these black claws coming out of the carpet, trying to pull him down. I mean, they were just, they were terrible. They were demonic, trying to pull him down. And then President Lincoln sat him down. He says, it's the only time I'm going to warn you. And he's never said it since.
Do you think that was happened in the dream state for him, or do you think he was awake, or what do you?
He was awake.
He was
awake.
Because I know, or I believe, and I've heard a couple of their psychics, and I don't know if you are aware of this or not, Carolyn, but there have been that felt like he had experienced several things with presidents that have crossed over, that came in and frightened him, scared him, like what you described. Totally.
Obviously not
that exact situation, but it's like, and I totally believe it. I do. I mean, that's
he really, he had him up there. He was gonna, do it.
Wow.
Being the office of president was the highest honor that these men ever had in their lives.
Yes.
The most precious thing. And for him to act the way he was towards the office,
yes,
was deplorable.
And to compare himself to Lincoln.
Yes, he did many things against the military.
And I'm surprised they didn't do more to him to get him
other presidents and all kinds of things.
Well, I think if he did it again, Abraham Lincoln would come back. And all night long, when he was trying to sleep, the soldiers were around his bed going, "You're not going to sleep. You will not sleep. We will keep guard here. You are not going to sleep."
Wow.
You know, and I just went, "Whoa, Peter, you're not going to believe what I just saw." You know,
Wow.
it was early enough that he was not asleep. No, he was wide awake.
Wow.
And you think that would have scared him straight to clean up his act, but yet he kept doing what he was doing, that he has been doing.
I think several things have happened. I think he's so involved with his extracurricular and he's crazy and he takes things and whatever. I don't think you just
Adderall.
Plus, I think his mind is so incredibly powerful. God only knows what he told himself about that and other things. I mean, he's not functioning with the same kind of stuff that other people are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
full picnic.
He did go back because he took the Lincoln bust with him when he left. Guess what's back at the White House?
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah, he gave it back.
Yeah, he took that and there was a couple different things. But I really liked Abraham Lincoln, everything that I'd learned in school and everything else. So I do remember hearing that.
Yeah, but he did take it, but after this incident happened,
and a painting of something. I don't know. He took some art.
Yeah, anything that reminded him of Lincoln went back.
Yeah, it might have even been a painting of Lincoln. I don't know. I just remember I heard. Yeah. But and again, you hear so many things. It's like, well, did that really happen? Did that not? But yeah.
I was just standing behind that little curtain, going, "Whoa."
Yeah. We've had some people sharing. Just really quick. Leah was sharing with Cosmic Orphan that she saw an apparition today of a person that went into the storage closet. I don't know if this was at work, Leah, or at home, but I wanted to share that with everybody. That's wild. You actually saw one today. I'm just curious if because I know we read a lot. We read quite often for Leah, and for a lot of people that are in our chat. A lot of times they are drawn to this community and to the shows because they themselves can feel those abilities within themselves, and it's kind of like a I don't say it's like a beacon, but it's kind of like a post sign saying, here, this is the sign you're looking for. Let's start working on this. So do you feel maybe Leah has psychic abilities that she was able to see this, or was this intention of this expert?
She does have abilities. Yeah.
Thought so. And Care Bear, who is Karen, said, I watched paranormal shows for years. I went on a haunted pub crawl in Savannah for a bachelorette party and asked to visit a cemetery there. We stayed in Flannery O'Connor's child home. I'm not sure who that is, but that sounds amazing.
Yeah, Savannah. Ooh.
Oh, here we go. My dad saw his mother the night she passed. She came. Oh, wait a minute. This is another one. My dad saw his mother the night she passed. She just came to tell him it was okay. And she knew he loved her since he didn't get to tell her that before he left for school that morning. Oh my goodness. How sad. But thank you for sharing, Karen. And really quick, Miss Tarot D has joined us. And so has Terry from Holding Your Space. Hello, my dear. And Care Bear does have a question. I have a question. Suggestions on what to say to your kids when they see entities. My son has talked about a few experiences when we were staying at a few different places on vacation and was scared. That's actually a good question.
I would explain what it is.
Yeah, I'd say I'd say first, this is what I told my daughter to tell her daughters, because they see their grandmother, Peter's ex-wife, and is it her, or is it your imaginary play person? And it, usually if you ask that, then the imaginary play person is usually somebody that's passed. He's frightened because he doesn't understand what he's seeing.
Yeah, I know I was.
Yeah, they're not. I don't feel they're going to hurt him. Yeah,
Well,
they would have, or they would have already attempted to hurt him. And just send him outside to play, and then she's to have a word with whoever's in the house.
This was at a vacation, she said in this message here. Yeah. She said, talked about a few experiences when we were staying at a few different places on vacation, and he was scared.
Yeah.
Just having an open dialogue, I would, that again, the question is for you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd still have a talk with him.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
Why don't you go outside and play for a minute? I'll be out in a second. Okay, you. You scare my kid again, and there's going to be trouble, because you have no power here, and don't you ever bother my child again.
Wow.
Have
be
a
firm.
word.
Yeah. Shouldn't discourage.
Don't discourage the child. No.
Right.
But, you should also ask, is there something I can do for you? What do you want? I'd be happy to help you out if you need help.
Mm-hmm.
But, otherwise, leave my child alone. Just be gone. You have no power here. Yeah, and
that's what I had to do at the house that I grew up in when I went back later as an adult. I walked into that house and I said to that spirit, if you are still here, and I know you are, you will not touch me. You will not touch my mother. You will not touch my animals. I am no longer afraid of you. I know how to take care of you. And you are to not communicate, touch, or come near myself, my mother, or our pets. And the whole time we lived back there at that house, nothing.
Yeah,
so it's all about taking your power.
That's right. You took control.
Sometimes it takes more than that. You have to come in and have a real strong, psychic medium or whatever they need to get them onto the other side. But a lot of times taking control, I found that helped me. And I never had that thing touch me again.
Do you realize that you have just as much power as they have?
I don't know. I've seen some shows where you've seen people do the prayers, do the cleansing.
Time out on the shows. Time out. That's why the Ghost Brothers left, because they wanted him to do things that they weren't willing to do.
The who left?
The Ghost Brothers.
Oh, Dalen and all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, Dalen.
They said Travel Channel would have renewed them.
Yeah, and we're part of the Grave Shifters with Dalen.
Are you really with Dalen? Oh my God. I absolutely loved those guys. Oh my God, they're awesome.
Yeah,
Allyson, have you heard of the Ghost Brothers? Okay. I know they are his.
But that's why they left. They said, we're not doing that. No.
Yeah, Dalen's doing his daily Now that's another question. Did you have another question, Allyson, or?
I do. I have a question for Carolyn and Peter. So what do you make, either one of you, both of you, whatever, what do you make, rather than go through the whole story, what would you make of an adult that has numerous times over the last, I don't even know how long, 15 years or so, and only recently realized this person realized that they have abilities, and they're very varied, but that's almost separate. This person over the years sporadically has experienced what sounds like radio noise and used to like check that the clock radio was on and it wasn't, or was there a TV in the other room? And it sounds like voices, maybe 2 different voices, both female, can't understand what's being said. Couldn't tell you if it's English or another language, but it's definitely female. And it sounds like I just described.
Yeah.
And it'll last for a few minutes at a time and then it stops. What might that be? In your opinion or experience?
It could be an ancestor. In my sister's case, she bought a house in Florence, Vermont, and which is like 2 blocks long, and if that, and it turned out it's the family farm way back during the Indian Wars. You know, and she can hear the voices.
So it always happened where she was, because this does happen, I think, every time it's happened at his home, I think.
Yeah, it happened mostly in her kitchen. It was like 2 women cooking and talking, but she never could make out what they said.
What was being said, and it almost sounds like there's static too. Yeah. Like I said, he thought it was his clock radio or whatever, but the device is unplugged or it's not on, or
not the
radio.
It can still come through.
Right, like he said. Well, that's true, but he said it's like he can hear it, but then he realized finally it's not coming through my ears. I can hear it, but it's you know what I mean, when it's spirit, it's not actually coming in through your ear hole. I mean, they can mess with electronics, but you understand what I'm saying. So
yeah
so ancestors most likely.
It could be stone wall if it's only in one particular room, but does he hear it in other places?
He's heard it, I know, in the master bedroom. He has heard it in another part of his house. I believe, and I will ask him, I mean, I won't be talking to you all, but I believe it's been mostly contained in the bedroom. Mostly.
Wow.
Same house, though. I think he's always been home every time it's happened. I'm sorry?
Has it always been a bedroom?
I believe so. I wish he was here right now. I'd ask him.
I'm just wondering if it could be a different, like a parlor, you know.
He did also recently, I don't think these are connected. He did actually see an apparition for the first time ever in the house, but this was a man. And the voices stuff, the radio, he said it sounds feminine. He thinks it's women, possibly 2 different voices. But the apparition was a man with a hat, and he like walked right past him like he didn't even see him, and like
he probably didn't. Your friend has
he didn't. Your
friend has abilities.
He does, and he often the big thing, and then I'll just stop. The big thing with him, and he did have a reading with somebody recently who told him he was actually a seer, because that's his big thing. He like knows something, and then it materializes and happens later. But I also think he does have some different Claire stuff, and so
just like Allyson
anyways
does.
Thank you. I'll let him know. He's wondered about it.
Accept it and learn.
Yes, he's very interested in doing that. He's not afraid of it at all. He's wide open. He thinks it's awesome. Which is
great.
That's awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
So tell him, look into it. You know.
Yes. Yep.
Have a really serious look. You know, and figure out, because he'll be able to tell his Claires, what he's got.
Right. Right.
And then he'll know, he can join, and take the free classes they give.
Yep. Yeah.
Or, they charge so little for these classes.
Carolyn, did you say you do free classes or?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought you said you did free classes.
No, I don't. But Marina does. Ally does.
Okay.
well, Allie helps Val. Val, you know, they all have classes that can help on meditation, on the Akashic records. There's different areas, you know, and if he wanted to look further into it, once he listens to a few of the programs and connects, that's the important thing, is that if he was watching you and Heather and connects and says, oh, I want to learn from them.
Yeah, and he's very interested. He just heard his father say his name the other night. He was going to bed and he heard him say his name clear as a bell in his very thick accent. And his dad's been gone.
Wow.
I don't know. I can't remember how many years now. His dad's been gone quite a while actually. So, but anyways, thank you.
Yes.
Well, he's been thinking of it.
Really quick, we had Sonia has joined us. Delphi Ross, this is the first time to watch the show. Welcome, Delphi. It's good to have you. Leah said also, the first time I saw a dark figure walk through the door to my apartment building as I was sitting quiet planting seedlings on my porch last year. She says it was real. So people are sharing their experiences. Isadora said, my son saw a man in our hallway when he was young. And then Sonia shared something else. But if you somewhat bring up this other life as it being normal, talk to your child, matter of factly, about these incidents, just like you were talking to a friend. It helps takes the fear away.
Exactly, I've always talked to my son openly about everything woo-woo, and he's not afraid of anything.
Yeah, that's the best way to speak to the child.
And he would sit there and jabber with whoever was there, probably my grandma, when he was in his crib. And I just didn't say, you know, it's just, yeah.
They're especially, you know, they're not going to hurt the grandchild. Believe me, that.
No, he would laugh and just go. I mean, it could have been a couple different grandmas, honestly, and a couple other people, but I just thought it was great. You know, and he's definitely looking at and engaging with something I don't see. So that was very cool.
And that'd be comforting to me, you know, because you know they're being watched by someone that loves them.
He lost mom's gift too.
Yeah, I lost my grandmother, which is who I'm talking about, and then my other grandmother within the first 15 months of his life. And so I think they were both coming by to check out the baby. I'm sure they were. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Lovely.
When years ago in the UK, I was reminded by, actually my mother said about it. The house we lived in was built in the 30s. And but there'd been a house on that site before it, and there was a little old lady used to come into the bedroom at night to look after us, and she'd sit in the corner, and I vaguely remember seeing her. Well, when my mother and father moved and had a place built, this old lady came with us.
Oh, really?
And my youngest sister had seen her, but also my eldest son. He'd seen her in the bedroom. He said, I'd wake up and look over, and she'd be sat in a chair in the corner, just watching us. He said, I'm not scared by her.
Oh, she wasn't doing crochet or anything?
No, just watching the kids, Yeah, but she, as far as we know, she wasn't a family member, but she was just watching over the kids. Whether the house she'd been at, she used to look after her grandchildren or children there. And of course, there were 3 young souls there, and she'd watch over us, and then consequently came along and watched us in the new place as well. Yeah, so yes, my son has got a gift as well. So
that's very cool. I'm envious.
Rhonda Q also shared a story with us, and Karen, you're right. So many experiences. Thank you everybody for sharing in chat. sharing with us here with our stories. And Rhonda Q said, I just got in bed and had a spirit come out of my closet and offered me his hand. He had sparkly eyes and elf-like ears. A light was all around him. He offered me his hand twice and then left. That's interesting. I don't so I would assume that would be Fae or like an elemental from the land.
That sounds like a Fae. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Don't take their hand.
Yeah. Unless
Yeah.
unless it's family member that you know. And my mouse just died. Okay.
Well, I would be careful even of a family member that you think it's a family member, because they can be pretending.
So then how do you know, Carolyn? Because you know, I mean, energetically you might be able to know, but for some people who think it is a family member, really, how would you? Well,
she's saying just don't physically don't join, right? Yeah, no touching.
Yeah, Rhonda said I did, and I was scared. I'd be scared too.
Yeah.
But because I know spirits can, present themselves like children, this and that. But then if you're not very familiar with spirit and you think if I were to wake up and didn't really know about spirit and I thought, I saw my dad standing there holding his hand to me, I sure would want to grab my daddy's hand and say, oh, I miss you. So it's kind of like
be able to tell by his essence.
Right. And also somebody that's of the light that's there on good measure and all of that probably isn't going to try to even do that, right?
I wouldn't think. They may touch your bed, like in a comforting way.
Or sit next to you, or
sit next to you.
Tap the back of your hand or something like that. If they used to do that in life.
My grandma used to, when she talked to you, she'd pat your hand, or when she hugged, she always, huggy buggy pat pat pat, and I know that's my grandma.
My grandfather would do this on your head, and my niece has felt that a couple times from my grandfather. She didn't see him, but she just and that's it. It's just, and it's him.
Yeah. He's protected.
You just say, I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still feel my animals every now and then. I'll feel, like I think Mozzie just jumped on the bed or Ziva, and I'll look and they're not there, and I'm like, well, Howie, Yasha, whoever, maybe Lilu or Piper, one of my dogs, maybe they, just came by, to visit. So yeah, I just wish I could see them.
I've seen our Shih Tzu, Matt, and we have his ashes, and then we have
Jack Russell as well. And the Jack Russell, when we lived in another house, he quite regularly, he would see spirits. And Carolyn was able to, if you will, speak to the dog telepathically, and he would show her what he'd seen. It saw a woman in one house we were at, but he also used to see the spirit of our golden retriever at the past as well. And he would show her these images. I mean, fantastic. I'm envious of that. But this little chap used to see spirit.
See, I see mine in my dreams, but I don't get to see my babies physically with my eyes and spirit, and I wish I could.
They say when you die, that when you cross over, that you're everybody else, because they're all excited to see you. I've heard that many times. Hopefully that's true, because that would be great.
It is. All of our dogs that have passed, they're in a field, they're playing together, and the Jack Russell gets on the back of the golden retriever and rides around, has a good time. They're just waiting on us. It's gonna be a while, hopefully. But they're just waiting.
Yeah.
Carolyn had said to me years ago, she said, when you pass, she said, the golden retriever Sasha she will come for you. She will come for you.
She'll come for Peter.
Oh, I just got goosebumps everywhere. So that's who's going to show up and be like,
yeah. So if I see her, okay, that's me.
Let's go for a walk.
Retrieve you.
Yeah, literally.
Well, I hope my Boston Terrier Romeo comes to get me whenever I go. That would be great.
Yeah.
Best dog ever.
We can feel him. We can see him. You can talk to them. Yeah. They can hear you.
Yeah.
Even up there, they can hear you.
I just wish I could see mine. It's weird. I would rather see my animals. Sorry, loved ones.
Sorry, ancestors, but
I would rather see I would really want to see my fur babies the most. You know, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I just have a more deeper connection to, my fur babies.
Yeah.
So when I hear people say they can see their, once or twice they'll see their baby, I'm like, I get so envious. I mean, I'll see them in dreams. Sometimes the dreams aren't always pleasant, but there are times when I'll dream and I'll be like, oh, Lilu, and I can kind of feel her petting her. But then when I wake up, it's just like the sensation is gone completely. And I'm just kind of like, oh, I miss my girl, I miss my babies. So.
But she came to tell you she loved you and to have some loving. That's time that is well spent.
It was. She was something else. We did have a question. I mean, I have an understanding of what shadow figures are, but Karen wanted to know what your thoughts were, you and Peter, on shadow figures, because some people say they're bad. Some people say they're just a spirit that you catch out of the periphery. Doesn't mean that they're necessarily harmful. What have your been experiences?
There are two types, possibly more. They can be, like you say, somebody that you just see a shadow and you, oh, okay. The trick is not to turn your head. Give them the side eye, but don't turn your head, and you might have a better chance of seeing who it is. You almost have to train yourself not to turn your head, but but there are bad ones, but they're easy to get rid of. You get rid of them the same way you get rid of a regular spirit.
I have a question. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have any more questions to put up, Heather?
No, we're good.
Okay. So, Carolyn, Peter, either one of you, both of you, and this just came to me. So, and I don't have any interest in this at all. It's just, it's an interesting subject. Ouija boards, we all know not to mess with them. Ouija boards open portals and all this kind of stuff, and usually or often it goes bad and it goes sideways and everything else. What, from your experience or knowledge, either one of you, both of you, is it that most often happens with something like that that's negative? Are they letting in, like, is it negative spirits, which is such a broad term, from, what's happening as far as with that kind of stuff?
My oldest sister was possessed.
Wow.
From a Ouija board, and she had to have it removed.
So she had to have an exorcism?
Yeah, basically. We're not Catholic, but yeah, it's
right.
A deliverance, yeah. But we broke up the board and we started digging in a neighbor's yard because we were going to bury it. We got tired. We said, oh, we'll finish this tomorrow. And we went back that next day, and it was all in one piece.
Yep.
And I've got a scar on my forehead from where I got hit in the head with the tip of this shovel.
Oh, when you were digging?
when we were digging.
No, I've heard that you're not supposed to burn them. Is that correct? Because my mom
No,
did with one, and
that gives them more power.
But what
Yep.
is happening? Do you know what is coming through? What is that? Can it be a whole bunch of different things? Are you not sure?
It can be almost anything that comes through.
Okay.
But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be negative.
Right. And that's the whole problem.
It's not who you think it is. Because
right.
they can
It's trickster energy.
Yeah. Now, is that the same for spirit boxes and these Ovilus devices that investigators use? How do you feel about the spirit boxes? Because
depends on if you how you use them.
Okay.
If you like Dalen, he just goes up, sits down, and holds it and says, you know, just talks to them, you know, and they talk back. And then, you know, but in Louisiana, he left it on a mausoleum and walked around, and the thing turned around and went flying off of it. They were like, we don't want this on ours. They can hear what we're saying.
So why is a spirit box okay, but a Ouija board isn't, if I may ask? What's the difference? Because they're both bringing in spirit, right?
No, no. A spirit box doesn't necessarily pick up a negative.
Okay.
But I would be careful with it. I've also heard you take a recorder, just a plain recorder, and put it on someone's grave, and you can hear them talk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, if you're supposed to go to heaven or hell, what are you still doing in the ground?
Yeah. So I was just curious about the different, well, not necessarily the differences, but because Ouija boards, pendulums, spirit boxes, these, you know, spirit talk apps, you know, they both are, you're calling spirit to come talk to you. I think
you're calling for a spirit, and I don't think it's actually wise to do.
For either, all of them?
All of them. I would.
Tarot cards.
What?
Well,
tarot cards? Well, tarot cards tell their own story. No.
So do you feel a pendulum can't be trusted as well? Because I have several that I've been.
I use a pendulum.
Okay.
It's your intention. If your intention is good, you'll protect it.
To me, a pendulum is like dowsing rods.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, no, yeah. They're like dowsing rods, and those have been around for centuries.
You're the conduit. It's your intention. Obviously, you're not physically moving it, but because you're channeling that energy, that's obviously how you're getting the answers.
Okay.
It's not necessarily negative.
It's more your guides that you're asking the question.
Okay.
The question too. You're not asking the spirit questions.
Okay, so the spirit boxes are okay as long as your intentions are clear and your protective boundaries are up, then, correct? Okay, but the Ouija boards are completely.
Oh, absolutely.
So just for clarity, a Ouija board is opening up a portal, or it's like an opening with the planchette and the board and all the whatever the belief system that goes into it or whatever. It's been a way that's been figured out to do it. Whereas the spirit box, by the nature of how it works, it's just able to pick up the voice communication of. See, I've heard it before and whatever. I can't stand listening to it. It drives me crazy. I can't listen to it. It's just a bunch of gibberish noise and it's loud and I hate it. But it's like it's a radio whatever thing. It just feels very different.
Mm-hmm.
And also you can't understand what it's saying anyway.
I'm not sure what they're picking up. That's why.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know either.
That's why I like to watch Dalen.
It's open to interpretation.
You know,
what you want to hear in anything. If you're if you want to, or you're willing, I want this to be such and such, you can make it.
You can make what?
All the words literally out of thin air.
Yeah. But a pendulum is all right as long as you have the correct intentions and you actually let it, make sure your hand is, it's better to keep your hand on your elbow while you're asking, because it anchors this hand from moving.
And I was told recently that when you go to use the pendulum, you should use your non-dominant hand. Do you think there is a difference between which?
Absolutely.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm right-handed and I hold mine with my right hand, so I should start holding it with my left, because I influence it if I hold it with my dominant hand.
Not if you're holding your elbow. That's not, and you secure it.
Yeah, I always secure mine, but I was told that
your dominant hand would be all right.
Oh, okay.
And you wrap the string or whatever it's around your finger, and you make sure that
I have different lengths and stuff. Yeah. Because I had someone tell me that I'm not supposed to be holding it with my dominant hand, that I should be holding it with my non-dominant so that I don't influence.
If I held it with this as my non-dominant hand, that it wouldn't work as well, because number one, I have an immune deficiency and this hand shakes. That's not going to work. Yeah, so if I have to use my dominant hand to get it to work correctly.
Okay. Now we are at almost 9:30 already. Wow. I don't know how late you and Peter, I know Allyson, you had a little extra time this evening. Was there anything else that you wanted to share or cover as Allyson's, or anything else you want to ask? I'm looking for, and there isn't
anything,
but
else.
I do have Sonia. I did catch this a little earlier. I was wondering, one day as a child, a lady called my name out 3 times. She had the sweetest voice, but I was so scared because I couldn't see anyone. I moved and I didn't hear her again. Wish I knew who it was.
Guide.
That's probably her guide or an ancestor.
See,
be careful of 3 knocks now.
Ooh.
See, now some people say 3. For me, 3 is a power number. It's a sacred number. But for some people, they like to say that it's, demonic, or it's.
Oh God! People need to shut up. Stupid.
Well, but Carolyn,
like a number is demonic.
Yeah, the number 3. I had somebody on my second floor of my mom's house knock on the window 3 times, and I'm like, how are they getting up here? And it's almost like it can be a pre-warning.
I love the number 3.
Yeah, me too. Because they say that number 3, that's why when you do ghost investigations, people get scratched with 3 claws, because it's
3. Yeah, I've been scratched 3 times.
So do you think there's any correlation to it, or is that just something that people put out there that it's just?
Well, again, they know your weaknesses, and if you predisposition to think that 3 is a demonic because they're blasphemy to the Holy Trinity, that's what they're going to play on. They will.
Yeah, the Trinity. Yeah,
your vulnerabilities.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Interesting. Leah did have a question. It's not a paranormal question, but she is looking to get grant money to help create a soup kitchen. Do you see her?
I did. She asked this question the other
Oh,
day.
you already asked Leah. Okay.
Not, but I, at the time, and I still think it, she's going to get her money and she's going to open her soup kitchen.
Okay. So Leah, there you go. Looking to see if there was any other questions or insights people had. Let's see, Sonia. But if you ask a pendulum a question and you place it over letters, because there are pendulum boards, I've seen those, spell things out versus a yes or no, is that still equivalent to a Ouija board? And I would like to know, because I've had my eye on a pendulum board, but I'm very hesitant. I'm a little nervous about it, because to me it kind of still feels like a Ouija board in a way.
Yeah, I have one and I used it once and I did not like the feeling I got from it.
Okay.
That's just me. But I wouldn't do it. I would stick with yes and no, and then if I had to go through the alphabet, I'd go through the alphabet. I wouldn't, I wouldn't use any boards or anything like that.
So what would be the difference of holding the pendulum and asking for letters out loud, or asking questions of your higher self and your guides? What makes having the letters on the pendulum board with the pendulum a negative? I'm just trying to kind of put the dots here together so I understand better.
Because the planchette on a Ouija board, spells things out.
Yeah, but this is a pendulum.
You haven't got the control, that you do with the pendulum.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Even if I used a pendulum board to go with my pendulum, how is that negative? Seeing that I'm using a pendulum, and it's my own energy or my guide's energy, and not a planchette. That's what I'm saying. What makes one better than the other? What basically what makes one okay and one not okay?
I think it's one's intention. It's someone's intention. Okay. A Ouija board is very, very negative intention to me, because they're expecting to get negative things.
Because I would like to get a pendulum board to help a little bit more focus, like I do.
Yeah, there's ones that give months and you can do years.
Letters and stuff, yeah. And so I wasn't.
Yeah, there's a guy that he had a program. I don't know if he still has it on how to do it. But I think with the board, with the what your intention on getting, I think it's your intention, and plus how it makes you feel when you use it.
Okay, because there's a person on Etsy that makes them and they're beautifully done. When I look at them, I don't get any negative energy, but because of my history and my family and people that I know that had worked with a Ouija board, that's why I was wondering, by putting something underneath the pendulum, is that what create, you know what I mean? I'm just trying to be able to understand, before,
As long as you say, your St. Michael's prayer first for protection.
Oh yeah, I always, St. Michael's my dude.
Yeah, and
that's the problem with these Ouija boards, are that people will use them without seeing any protection. They will open the portal, and then because they get scared, they just
leave it open.
Yep, and they leave it open.
Yeah, let's just leave this open.
Yep. They have no idea.
And no idea what they're doing.
Closing it. No, and not closing it down either.
Yeah. and never ever hang two mirrors across from each other. You'll open a portal if you do that.
So how do two
I've
mirrors?
heard that.
Well, I know mirrors are that can be, because people can scribe with
Energies
mirrors.
back and
But
forwards between one and
Mirrors
another.
facing
Yeah.
each other.
yeah, how does
Yeah.
that create a portal?
Energy.
And the energy going and the reflections of people. Plus, be careful if you buy an antique mirror, it can have negative.
Yeah.
You hear of people
Yeah,
screaming.
that, you know what? That is that even feels true. Like I think that I've even picked up on that. I've been around antiques my whole life. My mom was a huge antiquer. My sister was. I've dabbled a little bit. I was really into it years ago, and now things are very different. Anyways, I've been around a lot of old mirrors, and you can feel the energy around a really old mirror.
Mhm.
You really can. It has seen a lot. It's been around.
Yeah.
It's experienced a lot, and it holds on to stuff. As weird as that sounds, yeah, my
Yes.
mom had a lot of old mirrors in her house. Nothing was
Oh,
weird in her house, but it just,
Old
yeah.
photographs too.
Yeah.
You know, like people get hair memorials. No, nobody buying hair memorials.
No.
You know,
Have
But
what?
buying what? Buying
hair
what?
memorials.
Taken from the deceased head.
Oh, they'll buy somebody
That
else's?
they
Oh,
make
and
the
you'll keep
reason.
somebody's hair.
Yeah.
Oh no, you can do
A
kinds
big
of
thing in
magic with
Victorian
that. No.
And wait, say that again. I didn't hear. What?
Don't buy them. They were big in Victorian times.
Victorian time, right?
Yeah, they would cut the hair off of women, mostly women.
And keep
You
it,
know, or men that had longer hair. They put them in a ring or a brooch.
or give somebody a lock of your hair, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's personal.
That's
That-
very
that-
personal. It's DNA.
Yeah.
Now, if
Yeah.
it stays in the family, that's okay, correct? And
If it
as long
stays
as
in
you
the
don't-
family, if it's
but if
family.
you sell it, but yeah, no.
We've bought things from bric-a-brac or antique shops and got it home, and something we, just didn't feel right. And by
Yeah,
the
you gotta
process
clear
of
stuff.
elimination, well, what's the last thing we bought in the house? And lo and behold, a particular item. We thought, right, let's take it out of the house and see how things are. And lo and
Right.
behold, that was it.
Yeah.
So it went back. Go girl.
Yeah.
A neighbor gave me a picture that she had painted. And it was a beautiful angel paint that she painted. But when you stood at a certain angle, it was the devil.
What?
And
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
How
Yeah.
is that possible?
I
Was
don't
it
know, but my parents saw it.
I'm like
my
looking
sister-
at my paintings now.
yeah.
going,
There's
"Oh my
certain
God."
things though you can have them and you look at them at different angles and they do look different. So I can see how that would
Kind
be
of like
possible.
pareidolia. Yeah.
It got cut up. And
And again, it's your own perception.
Yeah,
If
it
you
is.
feel it's bad, it
Right.
can be bad.
well,
And your own
I
imagination.
asked my sister, what do you see in this picture? And she walked around. She goes, "That's the devil. When you look at it this way, that's the devil." You know, and she was a lady that lived next door to us in California, and she had mentally, she was dementia, I think, but she was always a little strange, and when she gave me this picture, it was like, she said, "I did this picture for you," and I'm like, "Oh, thank you." Yeah.
Okay.
And I thought it was really nice. It was a beautiful picture. But when I hung it up at my house and saw that and went, "Okay, I know where you're going, in pieces, so nobody else can get you."
It's interesting. That just reminded me of something. Before I left for Arizona, I had just gotten out of college and I found out that my sister loved wolves. And I found this picture, and I don't know how long it took me to paint it, but I painted, this wolf for her. It was a big, beautiful size. I painted it and I gave it to her. And later on, I don't know if it was my mom or if it was her that told me that when because my sister, her third husband, my sister's third husband, he was married originally to a Native American woman. So he had Native daughters and Native family from that side. And when they came over and saw my sister's wolf painting that I painted for her, they said that there was an evil spirit in it and that it had to be tied and removed and destroyed from my sister's house. Now, is it possible they did that just to be maybe nasty out of spite? Or do you think they might have, that entity that might have been in the house might have put its energy into that painting that I painted for her?
Well,
So that broke my heart when I heard that.
Yeah, either one is possible.
I've always wondered.
How were you when you painted it?
Me, I was okay. I was living in the house, yes, where this entity lived, but it didn't bother me. I was doing other paintings. And
I mean, were you in a good space and all of that when you painted it? Because they might have picked up on that if you weren't, and then in Native America, it's very dramatic, right? It's very intense, and it could have gotten kind of blown out of proportion.
I did it out of love for my sister, because my sister and I didn't talk for many years because of family drama and conflict and just bad feelings.
Right, and the energy of that, I'm just saying, who knows? It could have been, and I don't mean to interrupt. That's just something I got when you were talking.
And I just saw this and I said, oh, I'm going to paint this for my sister, and I was so happy to be back in her life and, and loved how she loved, with the Native, because I was starting to get into Native spirituality because we thought we might have had it in our family. And so I felt like I was connecting to ancestors, to, the wolf spirit that my sister loved, that I felt like I was being connected to. And I did this painting and I gave it to her. And it wasn't until I think after I left for Arizona that I later found out that, they told her to tie it up in red string or whatever, and they got rid of it. So.
Yeah, what happened when you painted it was that all that family history went into the painting.
But I wasn't feeling that though when I painted it for her. It was out of love.
Yeah,
and
subconsciously you could have. And all that was released into the paint. Now if you painted her one, it'd be totally different.
I hope so.
Because I've already done it.
Her and I have had a very rocky relationship and a lot of personal stuff that's going on right now. Now that I'm creating art, I'm wondering if, any of that energy of what's, that's going on in my life is making it into my art or has in the past. And now I'm kind of like wondering, do I question my art? But thank you. Thank you for letting me share.
I'm just sad you didn't get your painting back, because they should have just sent it back to you.
Yeah, they should have given it back.
Yeah, I mean, technically it's her art, but yeah.
All righty, thank you.
I think anything that we create, our energy is woven into it, and whatever we're like, and this isn't even towards you, Heather. I mean, any of us, like whatever we create. Like I guess the closest thing I can relate to is I'm a quilter. I mean, I have been for a long time. I don't do nearly what I used to, but like there's so much of my energy goes into that because it's hours and hours and hours of work. And I know painting can be hours and hours and hours of work, and you're thinking and you're feeling and you're this and you're that. That's all going into what you're creating. Absolutely.
Yeah. We had a lady at our church. Her name is Sister Taylor. Oh God, she was such a Holy Spirit. She was so blessed, and she just glowed. And she would make quilts for all the new babies coming out. And she, with every stitch, she'd there was a prayer in every stitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she'd hand stitch them. And with every stitch, there was a prayer to protect the baby.
Aww.
And she kept all of our pictures, all the children she knew, on her bedside table, and she'd pray for us all every night. And when she passed away, we're not Catholic, but I don't know why she was in a Catholic hospital, but the nun came in to check on her. And the nun said, Sister Teller said, "Oh, there you are, you've come for me." And she passed away. She said her face was so bright, I couldn't even look at her. She was just glowing.
Glowing.
Yeah. In death, she was glowing. You know, and whoever came to get her, I don't know, but but with every stitch was a prayer.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's just like wood carvings. You got to be careful, because you don't know what kind of mood the person is in when they make that carving, or what they're putting into it when they make it, or what else? So something else I was gonna say about what. Oh, you can go to dinner and say the chef is in a really bad mood.
Yes.
And his food's going to come out and it's going to be really bad. You can go the next night and he's in a good mood and his food's great.
Yes. Yes. It's spell work, really.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It is.
Conscious, unconscious, whatever. It's probably more powerful when we're not thinking about it. I don't know. It's just interesting. It's our energy. So yeah. Yep. I have things that my mom made me here and there. Those things mean more to me than, and I can feel her. I have a Christmas tree skirt. She made it. She probably wasn't even thinking about whatever when she made it, but I can feel her. It's just really neat to have something that somebody made.
Yeah.
It is different than store-bought stuff and like your paintings, Heather, are going to be, and I'm sure you know this, far more powerful than anything you could ever buy that's beautiful art, right? It's just different because somebody actually painted it. It's not a print. It's time and emotion and everything, intention and love and passion, and it's just different. It's cool.
And it's what you've been drawn to paint. The spirits have said, draw me this. This represents this. Paint that for me.
Yeah.
So it is totally different.
Yeah, it's very, very, very different.
And Sonia shared another story. She says, paper at home. One day, in a somewhat freaky move, the picture fell over and broke. A page from a newspaper from the early 1800s, or maybe a bit earlier, fell out from the back. Turns out there was a tiny, I'm thinking maybe article about a war that the U.S. and another country were supporting each other with. Strangest thing was that the other country was where I was born. Oh wow. Cool. That's interesting.
Is it where her family were from?
Yeah, she says she had this picture. It one day, something broken and out of it came an article from the 1800s that was hidden, I guess, in the picture, and turned out to be a place where she was born.
That sounds like a family member brought. The family brought the picture over with them, and they had used that as a backing. In the picture, and it's been there ever since.
Wow, that's amazing.
But that's a family treasure.
Heather, read the previous comments. Oh, I'm sorry, Sonia. Did I miss something? No, I think I got them both, Sonia. I don't see anything. Oh, she wanted me to share. Okay. I went into an antique store with my sister. I was drawn to a piece of art in the basement, but we got a funky feeling in the basement, so we quickly went back up. Sometime later, the store was closing down. And I went in to buy some things. I went to the basement and was drawn to the room, and there was the picture of Saint Cecilia again, the art piece I had been drawn to previously. I bought it. I had it wrapped in paper at home. Oh, okay. So this is, I'm sorry, Sonia. So she did this story in 4 parts, y'all. I
Got it.
apologize.
Yeah.
And so this picture that she bought from this antique store with Saint Cecilia came home, and there was the picture. Okay. Sorry, Sonia. It's trying to keep up, and I'm sorry, sweetheart. But now we got the whole story. So yeah.
Okay.
So it was about.
And you'll have stuff talk to you in a store. I mean, I've had that happen a couple different times, including antique.
Any sort of particular piece that comes to mind?
There was a couple different things, just pieces that I bought over the years, nothing specifically, but like you're somewhere. And that can also be my mom. My mom died 5 years ago. I mean, when I go shopping, she shows up half the time, especially if it's a store that she really liked. I know she's there, not every single time, but there's been times it's like, I feel like she's standing right there with me. Just pointing stuff out and whatever. So and I'm getting better at recognizing it, a lot better. I'm going to comment on one thing super quick. It just kind of popped into my head. I don't know. This is my dad's not in my life. That's something that I chose. He's not a horrible person or anything. I have very different, that's a whole story, but he's just not my cup of tea at all. Anyways, his wife just died. I just found this out recently, a couple weeks ago. Heather, I haven't even told you about it. But anyway, she died, and there's a letter that I have. I mean, she's written me many times over the years. Somehow a letter that she had written me, one of the last ones I received, but it was years ago, was in my craft cabinet. It has fallen out of that craft cabinet twice the last week or so.
Oh, wow.
And I keep having things that I noticed that are purple, because she was really into purple. And then also her obituary page keeps showing up as recommended. Look at this on my phone. So it's kind of weird. I don't know if it seems like a little too soon for her to be showing up, but I don't know if she hasn't done her life review yet or what's going on. But I just thought that was interesting, especially her handwritten letter falling out twice. And I do feel like she's around, or she's at least stopped in. It's not like she's hanging out around me. I think she wants me to communicate with my dad is really what
I was just going to say that.
I'll talk to you.
Yeah. She's like, you really should call your father. I could just hear her saying that, or, I wish you,
Well, she thinks highly of you.
But that's a whole nother story. I don't know about that, but
okay.
No, she's very, so everything's about, it's very motivated from her own perspective. So ultimately, but anyways, I just thought that was interesting. And like you were saying, Carolyn, people are the same in death as they are in life. And so, but I just thought that was interesting.
I don't know about that, because I've always, a lot of times I'm like, I've learned, or I've been taught, or, that, when we die and we go on the other side, we see, if we weren't, the greatest, we came here to be that person for others. And that when we cross over, that we get to see the error of our ways, and we realize what we do. And then we are there to help, the people that, we were, or, that were in our lives, that they were a part of. And then I hear other people who, if they were mean and then they cross over, no, they're still that same nasty, mean person. I mean, what would keep a spirit from, well,
I think
I
you
guess,
do evolve, but you evolve slowly. And it just
yeah,
depends on how far along they are on their journey as a soul, is what I would say. That's what I've learned to believe, and it feels very true. So I think you do very much act the same, but you're going to slowly change, just depending on how evolved you are as a soul, is what I would say.
And they can be trapped here too, because they don't want to pass on, because they feel they're going to be, this
Right,
retribution.
earthbound. Yeah.
And therefore they can be earthbound, and some of them like being earthbound. They don't want to move on.
yeah.
Eventually, the penny drops, if you will, but yeah, sometimes they can be hanging around, and sometimes, of course, if they've done something particularly heinous, they don't want to cross over, because
they're afraid.
they know that punishment's waiting for them. Yeah.
Because I often wonder with my mother, because she was good, but there was a very bad side to my mom. And I've learned more over the years now that my sister and I have reconnected, and a lot of our wounds from being children, being separated, it was hard to hear her share her pain and the torment and the trauma that me being brought in the world did to her and my brother, because of the way my mom treated them. And it was just, it's very convoluted, and it's a very painful history. And I think I've helped my sister heal that part, but now I have that to work with, because now it's like every time I think that maybe I can start addressing things with, with what my mom did to me, and, with the family, it's like another thing adds on there. So there are times when I'll dream, or I'll be like that in between state where I'll start to wake up, and I'll think, Shan will be sitting next to me or lay next to me, but for a second I think it's my mom, and I go into an automatic panic state. Or I have dreams still where she is trying to control me. And it's like I'm one of those people that are now, like, when I hear these different stories on TV, and people share online about, well, my, let's say my mother wasn't good, but she crossed over and saw, and then, I was able to heal, and we were able to be sorry, but and then there are others that said that no, that, they continue to be tormented from that parent on, from the other side, while this, that they're still alive. So I sometimes wonder, how do you really know when your parent, or, whatever loved one crosses over, or some that loved one that, hurt you so badly? How do you know that they, haven't, you know, changed, or if they're still the same? And um I don't know, maybe this is a question for like a backstage because it's a personal question I'm
No,
asking, but
you say, I love you, but we have some things to straighten out.
oh,
You and I need to have a talk. Then it's your decision whether you stay or go. If you decide to stay, there are boundaries. And this is how you'll behave.
yeah, I don't want her anywhere near me. She's hurt me so badly, and I'm still, even today, being an adult, I still sometimes go into that. My body responds traumatically when I think Shan is my mother. When I wake up, I'll think that's her next to me instead of him, and yeah, I go through moments sometimes where it's extremely traumatic. I get upset. I get very triggered, and there are times when I'll just scream and say, leave me alone. How could you? I've been battling with this. She's been gone since 2004, and I'm still, you know, working through this. So I guess my kind of convoluted question is like, when our loved ones cross over, how do we know that they've changed? Or do we just have to wait till we get to the other side?
I don't
if
think
we
we
have,
do know.
No,
yeah,
no. A lot of the trauma that we have is self-induced trauma. Like an alarm will set you off because somewhere in your place memory, there was an alarm that went off.
A lot of them.
Yeah, it's not her. It's what she did to you that's in your subconscious or even your conscious mind. Yeah, she's not haunting you.
Because she threatened me when she was alive. That she says, I mean, she would threaten me. She goes, you probably, I won't go into certain other things that she said, but she says, when I'm dead, I'm going to haunt you because of everything that you've done to me, and so it's like sometimes, I wonder.
But guess what? You can't.
Yeah. But it's hard.
You have no power here. Your power is gone.
Take back your power.
Yeah. I was just curious because some people will teach you that when we pass on, we become enlightened beings and we're not the same people that we were on the earth. And then there are others that's, say, that they've been told, no, they're still there on the other side and they are trying to hurt, certain people. And so I've heard different stories of different people's experiences with their family members or friends or people they knew in this life. So I was just a little interested, on your understanding of that and your experience.
Yeah. No, I honestly don't think she is haunting you. It's the fact that she said it.
Well, I dream too, so it's sometimes it's hard to tell whether it's her influencing, because I've had a great dream about my dad. We actually healed, because we didn't have a good relationship, but it wasn't necessarily all his fault. And about 6 years ago or so, I had a dream where people were coming through this light and they were going to other loved ones. And I looked at the light and here comes my dad, and putting my arms around him and crying, saying, "Daddy, I'm so sorry. I didn't know." And he says, "No, baby, I understand. I wasn't right either." And we healed right then and there. And so I'm good with my daddy, but it's just whenever any inkling, I feel like she comes into my dreams and stuff and whatnot, or I think, she's there. That's interesting, isn't it?
He'll protect you.
He'll protect you.
Yeah.
So Heather, try and speak to her and say, "Look, I forgive you. You obviously
I've tried.
didn't know what you were doing at the time. I forgive you. Take your own power back by that. This is your journey. She's had her journey."
True. Yeah.
Can you tell somebody you forgive them even if you don't?
Yeah, because I don't forgive her yet.
Right.
I can't go there.
Yeah, don't forget.
Because I'm still experiencing trauma through new stories and things that I'm learning from my other family members. So it's another thing. You think you get one point and you're healed for a bit, and then something comes up and you're so it's like I'm constantly almost learning, every year or so I'll have talks with my sister or people that in my life, and I'm just like, or other things, I'm just like, holy shit, she did this, then oh my God, and she did, and so it's still a lot of stuff is coming up that it's just a lot. And
is it something you want to hear?
What I want to hear, from the stuff that people are sharing with me. Sometimes a lot of times it has been yes, because it's given me answers to other things that have been in the back of my mind, like things that I don't have answers for. And it's just like, instead of going, well, then if this happened, then, and then I'll get confirmations where I'm like, okay, now I know that it wasn't me, wondering if this was real. This has been validated. So a lot of the stuff that I have heard, it's mostly from my sister. And I know that it's helped my sister heal, because my sister was, she's been through a lot, and our mother traumatized her horribly and used me as a weapon against my brother and sister. And so in turn,
you know that your mother was mentally ill.
Yeah. And I inherited it, some of it from her. So it's something the family will not talk about.
Yeah, she didn't know better.
I think at times she did. I at times, yeah, I can't. I mean, there are some things I understand that she didn't know what she was doing, but there are times when she knew damn well what she was doing. And I'm going to stop right there because you can see what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to put that energy into chat or into the show. It's been a wonderful show, but yeah, there's a lot. But yeah.
Maybe writing these things down, Heather.
Oh yeah. I've
And
talked out loud to her about it. I've written
okay,
down.
well, I was going to say, give her a good shout, you know, and then everything that you've done to me, burn it up the chimney. It goes.
Yeah.
You're gone. I forgive you. So
Yeah. I have a great counselor. I've had her for about 6 or 7 years, and she knows things about me that nobody else, not even Shan, knows. So I'm very blessed to have a counselor who helps me with this. And if I need to get a hold of her, I can email her at any time too. So I have a wonderful support. I just
good.
apologize to chat right now. I'm sorry that this kind and she I just didn't expect this was going to come up. So Allyson, Carolyn, and Peter, I'm sorry if I put any sort of negative energy.
It was
wasn't
meant
meant
to
to.
happen. Meant to happen.
There's a reason for everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I want to make sure that my chat and my show stay a safe space for everybody. So definitely. Well, we are at 10 o'clock. Was there anything else that was on that Carol Peter that you want to share that you would love for us to know that you have planned coming up? Because you still do I can't remember what day of the week it is, but Allie, you join Allie.
Tuesday evening.
What evening? Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yep.
Okay. At 10 o'clock. Yes, at 9 o'clock, right?
It is at 9 o'clock Eastern. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, we're on with Sherry, Voices from the Swamp.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then next Tuesday again with Ali and Terry and hopefully Diana as well and Kelly.
And Kelly, yes, I'm excited to have Kelly on join me next month. Now, for people who may not know, on that show, Allie and her panel, including Carolyn Peter, they talk about dreams. They'll talk about paranormal experiences. Sometimes you do readings. So if you're interested in dreams and all that like that, like of course I am, and this was a fabulous evening. I love the conversations we were having. And if you love those, with Sherry tomorrow and then with Allie and them on Tuesdays at 9. And Allyson, was there anything else you wanted to ask Carolyn and Peter?
I would love to sit down with the two of you and just talk an entire afternoon face to face. There's so much I would say and ask and want to gab about it. We can't really do it here. But no, it was lovely meeting you two. And I thank you so much for all your wisdom and experience. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, everybody. I see the love in the chat. Thank you so much. So I guess we'll go ahead and end. And again, everybody, check out Sherry from the Swamp tomorrow with Carolyn and Peter. And Allyson, are you doing any videos or Monday?
I'm going to try to get some stuff up this weekend. I haven't recorded anything in ages. So yes, I am.
And on Mondays, it will be the Mystic Four this
Monday,
week,
right? I think is the Mystic Four, and then Tuesday you and I are on with Allie
and Allie,
yes. And then just Friday with you next Friday. But yeah, I'll
look
try
at the
to post
fur baby.
Oh, I got to adjust my. Oh, I see. Oh,
and there's Scout right there on the bed behind Allyson.
Yes, my dog's asleep right here. You can see his ear. He's a white dog with a black ear. You can see
and the black kitty that jumped up.
I'm buffering now.
Yeah. All righty, everybody. Thank you. Have a great Friday night. Thank you for spending your time with me. No, you were already up here. You wanted to come back up. So we will see you all on the next live. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night all.
Good night.